Hello and welcome to the Sunday Guardian show by Joyeeta Basu. Today I'm going to discuss this Biden's decision to quit the presidential race and the possibility of Kamala Harris becoming the Democratic presidential candidate. Now, for this, we have a very special guest, Professor M.D. Nalapat, and who is right now traveling, of course, and he's so busy that he could get only this much time while in a car. And you see, he was the first to report that Biden is going to quit this month itself. There's immense pressure on him, and that the Biden would be quitting this month itself by end of July. And this report came out, and he also said that JD Vance is going to be the vice presidential candidate for Donald Trump. So, Professor Nalapat, how did you get to know about this? Tell us.
Well, Joyeeta, I have a few good friends in the United States, and I'm from India. I don't have a vote there, so I have friends in both the Democratic as well as the Republican camps, and they keep me informed about updates. And the update was, quite frankly, that Biden is definitely going to go, barring about 6-7 people around him. Everybody else wanted him to go, and it's only a question of a very short time before he left. And if he were to leave by the end of this month or earlier, the party will still have a chance. And then, of course, that Kamala Harris would be the obvious choice because she will get access to all the campaign money. By the way, it's more than $500 million now, which is quite a lot of money. And I think another $500 million on the way. And she's a good candidate overall for the Democratic side. There's no doubt about that. So, provided she chooses a good running mate, and because there are problems on the left side, as you know, there are problems regarding this Gaza conflict. Biden is under attack for not having supported, quote unquote, the Palestinians, but actually he's basically, he's supporting the Palestinians, but Hamas cannot really call itself a Palestinian organization. Palestinians are not terrorists. Unfortunately, Hamas is a terror organization. They did conduct a terror attack on Israel, but the problem is that narrative has been bought. That Israel is very anti-Palestinian, and it has affected not just Israel, but it's affected a very vibrant and a very brilliant community all across the world. So definitely that particular constituency is also there. Biden was toxic to that constituency. Kamala Harris will probably be less toxic, but so that is the situation. But given the fact that Donald Trump and Vance are very strong supporters of Israel, no matter what, I think that the vote of the Jewish community is anyway more or less going to go to the Democratic camp. But she should choose a
Democratic camp or the Republican camp?
No, they will
Democratic
go to the
camp or the Republican?
To
Biden,
the Democratic camp, because both Republicans, because both Republican candidates are completely swearing by Israel in every way. They and JD Vance in particular, Trump. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're talking about the Jewish vote going to the Democratic camp or the Muslim vote?
No, I'm talking about the Jewish vote. As far as the Muslim vote is concerned, frankly, they would not have gone for Biden, no matter what steps he has taken. But they may have less of an adverse view on Kamala Harris. So, that's also a very significant community. Hindu Americans are a significant community. Now, in the case of Vance, his wife is Hindu. Of course, Kamala Harris is half Hindu. She was brought up by a Hindu mother. So anyway, that will be a toss-up. But definitely, I would say that if she chooses a good running mate, she becomes a very formidable candidate. It's a combination, frankly. It's a combination of Trump and Vance that have made them so supercharged. Kamala Harris will need to choose very, very carefully. And if she chooses a good vice presidential candidate who is, can appeal, including appeal to white, middle class, and if I may say so, lower class people, especially males. I think because this is the vote that goes to Donald Trump. and I think the lower classes, the white lower classes, many of them have gone for Trump, and if she can choose a candidate who will go with who the working classes will go with, the white working class, I think then she'd be a very good candidate to have. I mean, she'd be a very good and very strong presidential candidate.
Yeah, but have you seen the kind of attacks that are coming from her? Because you see, after all, her being a woman is also a very important factor in this. And there are prominent women who are coming out and saying very nasty things about her. For example, someone like Tulsi Gabbard has called her a maidservant of Hillary Clinton, and that's a very strong comment. Then Megan Kelly, she has called her uninspirational. When you're thinking of a woman president, that person has to be like, at least when you think of Margaret Thatcher. But this one is like a Nimrod, and no way can she ever become president. Very strong comments are coming from women. Senior women politicians. I'm certain the other side also will start speaking. But you see, very, very strong comments are coming against her.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard is a very brilliant politician, but frankly, she is now, for all effective purposes, a Republican. She is a Democrat in name only.
Yeah.
She's a Republican, and I think she deserves a cabinet seat in the Trump cabinet. Most likely, she will get it. So she's a Republican. She wants Trump to win. There's no space for her in the Democratic Party whatsoever. Whoever is the candidate, whether it is Kamala Harris or anyone else, there's no space for Tulsi Gabbard anymore in that party. So from that point of view, I think she's basically helping the Vance Trump ticket by saying all these things about Kamala Harris. So I think she is effectively now a Republican, and she's a very talented person, a very able person. And if she gets a cabinet job, I'm sure she'll do an outstanding job. But I wouldn't take that as representative. Frankly, I think women will be galvanized at the sight of having a woman president for the first time. Hillary Clinton lost. And, that's exactly, Tulsi Gabbard's point about. I've not seen anything in Senator Harris's record or in Prosecutor Harris's record, frankly, or in Vice President Harris's record to indicate that in any way. I mean, Biden is close to Clinton, there's no doubt about that. He did not stand once. But the fact is that I don't think that is I've not come across any trace of her being subservient to Hillary Clinton. I don't see any trace of that whatsoever.
No, but then she's also known as a woke left loony. She has to cater to that progressive left loony base, which Biden, to a large extent, was able to keep under control. That left, there are so many videos of her by saying things like, I am Kamala Harris, my pronouns are her and she. For God's sake, normal people don't speak like that. It's only the left loonies who speak like that. I don't think it's a great thing to have a left loony as a US president.
I don't think she's a left loony, Joyeeta. She was a very good prosecutor. She's a very good senator. And I invite you to watch online some of her, when she was a senator, some of her very strong questioning of officials, etc. I think you will see that she's anything but a loony. And as for being a left, well, she's friendly to the left, but she's basically a centrist, and she's been a centrist all through. You can't be, except for a very few I think one of the squad members was basically defeated in the primaries, if I recall, and so that squad member is not standing. So the squad is now a triumvirate. So frankly, I don't see that happening. And as for let's be honest. You and I have said so many things on television. Somebody can take a snippet of what you said or what I said and twist it out of context, and then we can look pretty ridiculous according to our own language and our own words. And of course, now you have AI. So I'm not even sure that the images that they're talking about are actually Kamala Harris. They may be AI, So I wouldn't again be
No, no, no,
take
no,
that
no, no, no.
extreme.
These are the this I am Kamala Harris and my pronouns are she and her. The internet is flooded with these things. I mean, so much so, I was researching a bit. Even the liberals are commenting that she's overdoing it. Okay, so these are not AI. She is in the habit of doing it. And obviously, I think it's a case of, she trying to conform to certain camps and certain groups. Now, here the question comes is that what does it mean for India? Because you see, we have been, especially when it comes to the democratic establishment, we have been getting so many pinpricks about human rights and all. I mean, to me, it seems like if Kamala Harris becomes president, she has done it in front of Modi himself. Prime Minister Modi talked about how important human rights is. There's some that lectured him. I think these pinpricks will become the size of cannonballs if this lady becomes president. I mean, I'm frankly worried.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
only concern is India.
Joyita, frankly, there's no doubt that Trump and Vance will be far better for India than Harris and whoever is the
Exactly.
vice president. There's no doubt about that. I'm looking at it from the point of view of US politics. As far as India is concerned, Trump made it very clear he will give a green card to any Indian student who graduates from the United States. And I don't think he was opened it first to Indians and Chinese. Then he quickly withdrew the Chinese fact and the Chinese name, and he said only basically is confided to Indians. That's a first time offer. It's not been made by Democrats ever. So that's one thing. And second thing is that J.D. Vance's wife Usha. I mean, Usha is not she's an Indian. She's very proud of being an Indian. In fact, she comes from Andhra, and she comes from a very talented and distinguished family. And there's a very beautiful love story which Vance has written about theirs in the Hillbilly Elegy. I'd invite you to read that book. It's a beautiful book, and it's been made into a very, very haunting film. Uh, Both of them went through a hellish time, and both of them, nurtured each other because they love each other. And in fact, Usha was extremely helpful in ensuring that J.D. Vance got back confidence in himself, and more importantly, that he rediscovered his Christian faith. I have always been an individual who believes that the Christian faith, Catholicism, Protestantism, there are many things about it that can be really admired, if I may say so. And J.D. Vance had gone away from that, but he had gone completely, nihilistic, no faith, nothing in anything. And then, because of Usha and her faith in her religion, which is Hinduism, she remains a Hindu. She's openly a Hindu. There's no question of hiding it or whatever. She's a Hindu, just as Tulsi Gabbard is a Hindu. But again, from that point of view, I'd like to say there's no doubt that Trump and Vance will be far better for India than Harris and anybody else. There's no question. Why? Because the Democrats are not really looking at talented people coming there. Trump is going to lock the border for people who don't have the kind of skills. What's happening now, Joyce? You and I have discussed this for a long time. In fact, some years I've been pointing out. Wahhabis are coming across. The fanatics there. You have got fanatics from Khomeini fanatics. Then, you have got Chinese. The largest number of people who are coming from there are now no longer South American, they're Chinese. And most of them are actually members of the CCP. And many of them have come to infiltrate. So that's the illegal immigration. I think much more needs to be done for that. Otherwise, the United States is really not safe. I think this is one factor that Trump and Vance are going to use to ensure their re-election. Trump was elected and then defeated and now get elected again because it's a real threat to the United States. Heaven knows, what kind of fanatics are coming across. Heaven knows, what kind of ideologues are coming across. And heaven knows if they are fifth columns of forces that are inimical to the United States. So from that point of view, Trump and Vance have a much better border policy than Harris does. Harris's point, frankly, is abortion. And I think on abortion, now Trump has basically been now sidestepping the issue. The fear among many women is he will take away the right of abortion. I mean, he has said no. I'm not going to have federal law against abortion. I will basically leave it to the states. But frankly, the truth is that in this day and age, you have that kind of a posture. Abortion, at least I can understand up to a certain period, and not an unreasonably short period in which you may not even know that you are pregnant, but a reasonably short period in which it can happen. But that's an important point for women, I can tell you, and that is a very big selling point for Kamala Harris and whoever will be a running mate, because they will anyway have a much more expansive, much less restrictive view on abortion and reproductive rights and gender rights, etc., than Biden and Vance. So the reality is we are living the 21st century.
Trump and Vance.
In India, for example, in India, same-sex relationships are no longer a crime. The government did not challenge the Supreme Court when Supreme Court said it is no longer a crime. In India, we have lived with this transgender phenomenon for a very long time, and we have tolerated it, and we have been very moderate towards it. So we have a very liberal attitude societally towards these things. There are sections of the Trump-Vance base that have a very contrarian attitude, and that is not going to be helpful to them. So I think abortion is an issue that will help Kamala Harris. Immigration is an issue that will help Trump and Vance.
Yeah. Now, when we are looking at larger world politics, how will a President Kamala Harris be for the world? Especially, say, for example, we know China, we are talking about Global South, we are talking about, of course, US-India relations. Which way do you think politics is going to be? And Ukraine, of course, the big problem in the room right now.
Look, again, Joyeeta, I don't have any politics. Frankly, it makes no difference to me who will come, Democrat or Republican. But having said that, I'd like to say the Republicans have a much more consistent view on China than the Democrats have. J.D. Vance has a very clear view on China. Donald Trump imposed tariffs on China. The Chinese were shocked because they have bought up so many Americans, and they expected that all these, people would then ensure that no harm comes to them. And then along comes Donald Trump, and they absolutely they dislike Donald Trump, they dislike Vance, and they would much prefer that they lose. There's no question about that. As far as we are concerned, I would say, and we are helping to safeguard the Indo-Pacific. Prime Minister Modi is taking a very proactive role in that. Where we are concerned, very definitely, there's no doubt that Trump and Vance would be a far better pair for India than Harris or whoever else is her running mate. Because there's no doubt about that. As far as we are concerned, it will be Trump and Vance who are far better for us. And I think Indian Americans will, understand that very clearly. Apart from the fact that Usha Vance is of 100% Indian descent. Kamala Harris's mother was of Indian descent. She's impossible that Kamala Harris will be anti-Indian, no way at all. And of course, she's not going to be undiplomatic as president because India is too important a partner. As far as China is concerned, it's inevitable the United States and China decouple, even though the Chinese have a large number of sympathizers, even though a large number of businesses still are addicted to Chinese money and the Chinese business. The fact is that geopolitics and security is driving the two apart, just as it's driving India and China apart. Now, we can talk boldly and bravely about China, but the reality is India has also been security risks from China. And over the next few years, we have to make adjustments to our policies to take care of those risks. For example, Russia.
Right.
I'm all for Russia. I'd like to buy as much oil from Russia as possible. Trade with Russia. The Russian people are wonderful. They're good friends of ours. And, I admire the people. And Putin has been an effective president. But where defense is concerned, I've long held the view, my view on S-400 from the beginning. It's that, frankly, we have to slowly start separating from Russia in defense, and that's happening now. There's no doubt about it. As I said, Prime Minister Modi is doing that while maintaining very strong ties with Russia. And all said and done in US, the Department of Defense, even under Biden, is definitely not of the same view as the State Department. And with the State Department, all these so-called agencies and NGOs are basically State Department, and many of them are also related to, Clinton and various other foundations that have got very, as you said, woke, and in fact, not only woke, but agendas that are designed to malign India and thereby, if I may say so, help China. The Chinese, don't praise the Chinese. You can even attack them mildly, but malign India, and we are fine with that. That's what the Chinese brief their people in the United States. People who are doing their bidding. So that there is no doubt that maligning India is not helpful to the United States, and there has been a fair amount of that, even at the level of Secretary of State of the Biden administration. So I think that's very unfortunate. It is playing into the hands of China, and I don't think that Trump and Vance are going to make that same mistake. Although the problem with Trump is he's very transactional. It's all money for him. For example, S-400. The argument which was told to me was, what's the option? I said, what about the US THAAD? Then they said, that's not been offered to us. And, and informally, when we asked, the offer was made at a ridiculously high price, much higher than the price the Europeans are paying. So that's the problem with Trump. He looks at everything from dollars and cents, but not J.D. Vance. So I think the combination of Trump and Vance will be good. But Trump by himself, he must understand that, the politics, security, it's a lot more than just dollars and cents. And Trump, unfortunately, has been trained to think only in dollars and cents. And sometimes that leads him astray. As, for example, not offering India THAAD when there was still a chance that S-400 may not be bought. I'm very certain if a good offer, and THAAD would have been an immense asset to US, having a THAAD functioning in India, let's say in the Andaman or Nicobar Islands, would be of immense value to the United States. There would be, frankly, I don't see any need to charge India for that, for actually helping security in the Indo-Pacific. It would have been a great investment. But no, for Trump, money, money, money. It's, that's what counts. And that was in the first term. I hope the second term is going to be different. And I hope he realizes money comes and money goes. And a lot of his money has gone, frankly. So I hope he now goes beyond this just money fixation. Vance doesn't have it. He comes from a very impoverished background. He respects the poor. He respects people who don't have money. Even humble academics or journalists or whatever, he respects. So I think from that point of view, frankly, Vance and Trump are a far better deal than Harris and anybody else. You're right.
But who, in your assessment, will become president? What do you think? Which way do you think the final results will be sometime in November 2024? The final question this one is, by the way.
I can give you a definitive answer when I see the vice presidential candidate of Kamala Harris, because remember, it's a pair.
Okay.
And you saw, for example, in Andhra Pradesh coming to India, the pair of BJP and TDP was invincible. Either party by itself would not have been. Look at Tamil Nadu. I had the view that a pair of AIDMK and BJP would be invincible. Unfortunately, Mr. Annamalai disagreed, and there was no alliance with the AIDMK. Otherwise, Tamil Nadu may have contributed another 15 or 20 seats to the BJP kitty, in my view. But bad luck, it did not happen. So I'd have to wait until the vice presidential candidate to tell you that. But certainly it's advantage Trump. There's no doubt about it. Mainly because the assassination was terrifying. And frankly, the negligence was terrible. I'm not going to I don't believe in the conspiracy theory that it was a deliberately planned assassination. I think it was just negligence. It was just complacency and carelessness. But what happened was so shocking to many in the United States. I think that has been going to be very helpful in driving the election Trump's way. Joyeeta.
But then Kamala Harris also has a chance because of her gender. I think that is how I see it, as gender and color, of course. But whether the black vote that the Democrats have lost to Trump, or whether that comes back or not, a lot depends on that. Whether women will be voting for her, cutting across party lines, I think a lot
Yeah.
depends on that, because
Yeah.
ultimately election will be uh, fought on domestic issues. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
Joyita,
fine. Let
Joyita,
us wait and see who the
I
vice
just want to
president pick. Yes. Yeah.
I just want to make one point, and that is that Biden Harris have got a very strong
Huh?
card, which is their writing off of student debt
Huh?
and their generous attitude
Huh?
towards student loans, and their much more open
Huh?
attitude towards the impoverished. The difficulty they got is this flood of
Yeah.
immigration. Nobody can excuse that. But frankly, where the poor are concerned, Biden Harris have got a good record. I mean, not as good a record as Johnson
Okay.
in 1965, but they have a good record. And Trump in his first term, well,
So that
the
might
billionaires
help them.
billionaires were looked after very well. Biden is also not hurting the millionaires and billionaires, but Trump, frankly, the millionaire class was much more benefited than any other class under Trump, and that was one of the reasons why he lost the election. Joyita.
Fine. It was a very illuminating discussion. Thank you for this, Professor Nalapat, and thank you, viewers, for watching. Until the next time.